My name is Jack Upchurch. Well, this is another good video. This video was made in 1990. It was made in 1990. And we filmed it over at Hogansville, Georgia, between Carrollton and LaGrange. It's a little bit complicated in trying to follow who we're talking about. And you may have to watch this video a couple of times to get everything straight. But there's a lot of history in this video. I had met this guy, Ron Edmondson, through somewhere when I was doing research on Smith families. My mom was a Smith, my dad was an Upchurch, and I was doing research on the Smith family, and I ran into Ron somehow. I'm not sure how that initial meeting came about, but we're in Hogansville as a result of my affiliation with him. And we're at Sarah Stevens' house in Hogansville. Now, my mother and Aunt Bert and Aunt Margaret, we all went down to visit Sarah Stevens prior to this video. So there was some kind of connection from years ago with Sarah. She knew our family. And all this comes, let me see if I can try to get this straight because it is confusing. The one common link to all this video is our great grandfather, Van Buren Smith, and Sarah Jane Nixon. That's who he married, Sarah Jane Nixon. And they're the ones that are buried out in the woods at the corner of Highway 5 and Bethesda Church Road, just out of Tyus, which is just out of Carrollton, Georgia. So when you hear them talk about Van Buren Smith or Sarah Jane, that's our common link to these people. Who was Van Buren Smith? Van Buren Smith is the father of John and John Smith, Daddy B's father. Daddy B was our grandfather. His father was John Smith, John and Ellen Smith, and they're buried at Pleasant Grove Church in Tyus. John's father was Van Buren Smith. So that's the connection when you hear them talking about their great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather. That's where our connection comes in. So again, you may have to watch the video a couple of times and try to put all these names together. One of the participants in this is Sarah Jane's son, and I think his name is Raphael Stevens. It's hard for me to make out what his name is, but he owns, or he did at this time in 1990, he owned the property that Van Buren's house was sitting on. He owns that property, or he did at that time. And he talks about it in another part of the video, that house, the core of it was a log home that he built onto it. And we visit that home place right out of Cephas, Georgia, which is near Tyus, Georgia. We visit that old home site. This video is actually, I had to put it on 2 discs because it's so long. So this disc is 075 So I'm going to have to break it into 2 discs now because it's so long. The first part will be Disk 075, and the next disc will be 075-1. And on that second disc is where we'll go out and visit the old home place of Van Buren and Sarah Jane's home. It's a good video. We cover a lot of material in here. And then on the second part, we go out and visit the old homestead of Van Buren and Sarah Jane's home. So if you will, join me and we'll go down memory lane.
Uncle Trav, why don't you go ahead first? What's your name?
You got me off guard there. My name is Trav Smith. Don't film all that.
Okay.
My name is Trav Smith. I live in Leeds, Alabama.
Okay.
And I,
Uh-huh.
Sarah Stevens.
And where do you live, Sarah?
I live in Hogansville.
And you're probably named after my, let's see, great-great-grandmother, aren't you?
After my grandmother Smith.
Uh-huh. Great.
I'm Rothwell Stevens. I'm Sarah Henrietta's son. I live here in Hogansville.
Okay.
I'm Jim Smith, son of Tom Smith, who was Van Smith's son.
Okay, real good, Jim. And you live, where do you live, Jim?
And, I live in LaGrange.
Okay, great.
I'm Susie Edmondson. I'm his sister
Okay, and you live
in Union.
in Union.
I'm Ron Edmondson. I'm Susie's son. I live in Smyrna.
Now, who was your great-great-grandfather? Great-great-grandfather,
My
Ron?
grandfather was Tom Smith.
Okay.
Because his father was Van Buren Smith.
Okay, and your great-great-grandmother's name was?
Sarah Jane Nixon Smith.
Okay, and we're going to go visit their graves here not too long from now, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, now if we can kind of put the generations together like you were talking about, then we'll film them.
And
The third generation?
From Van Buren.
From Van Buren and Sarah Jane, right? Third generation.
There's only 2 more living of that generation. 2 Dennis.
no, we won't get it.
Let's see. Van Buren's first. And then Tom and John.
I just said
Roxy.
it. We're the third generation of Van Buren and Sarah Jane. What's her name?
Sarah Jane. And she was a Nixon before?
Sarah Jane Nixon Smith.
Sarah Jane Nixon Smith. And do you know where they were
You
from?
coming now?
Yeah. Do you know where they were from?
Well, they went around Taos and
Oh, they just ran back in her county, born and raised in her county.
They were. I know that, let's see now. Uncle Traff, you may have to help me here. Let's see, Van Buren was buried in 1899, right?
Right.
And Sarah Jane was buried in 1919?
1990.
1990.
That's the year me and my husband married.
So she's been dead 71 years, right? 71 years. I wonder if you'd ever thought we would be up here talking about her and her husband, and she probably never dreamed in her wildest imagination that would ever occur, would it?
strange things happen.
And you didn't know that, I'm sorry, I forgot your name again.
Henrietta.
Henrietta, you didn't know Henrietta was here?
I didn't know Henrietta was even living anywhere close by. I remember there was a Henrietta. I remember that.
But your
Yeah,
mother, mother was Aunt Roxy.
That's right.
I remember Aunt Roxy very well.
And Aunt Roxy was who now?
She was my father's sister.
Your father's sister.
Her mother.
Her mother.
Her mother.
Your mother.
She was one of the older children. She was next to her, and Uncle Tom were the 2 youngest children in that family. Uncle Tom was the baby.
And you remember my grandfather, right? Thomas B. Smith, you remember him?
Oh, yes. I remember him.
He was Jim's son.
He was John and Ellen's son.
I didn't know his name was Thomas. His name
Thomas B.
B's all I ever heard of.
Yeah, I don't think Uncle Traffy didn't have a middle name, did it? It was just B for an initial.
That's all
Daddy
I
B.
ever heard.
He spelled B
There
double
was
E.
two of them.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
B-double-E?
Yeah.
B and
Thomas
B.
B.
That's what he spelled.
And I always called him Daddy B. Daddy B.
Was that his name or a nickname? B-double-E. Was he actually named that? Or
That's the name.
actually named?
Thomas B. double E.
One of his sisters I remember very well, Aunt Laura Denny. He married Uncle Jim Denny, we call him. They had a bunch of boys, about, I don't know, 6 or
He
7.
got all that. Her and
They
Daddy
had
was a good friend.
Okay, let's take, you want
Let me
to,
tell
who want, now say that again?
her first cousin.
Octavia was
No, we didn't marry in the same family. Ceremony.
Sarah.
Ceremony.
Oh, on the same ceremony. We married in the same ceremony.
A double wedding?
Well, they married the same ceremony.
Well, that's interesting. Isn't it?
I'm going to have to sit down.
Okay.
We're rolling.
Okay, and again, why don't you just repeat your names and who your mom was for the record
Okay,
again.
I'm Ralph Stevens. I'm Sarah Henretter's oldest son.
That's my oldest brother.
Okay, and then Uncle Trav.
I'm Trav Smith. I'm Thomas B. Smith, Cleo Smith's son. John Smith was my grandfather, and then Buren Smith was my great-grandfather.
Okay, and you're the oldest son of Thomas, right?
I'm the oldest son of
Oldest child, I guess, right?
oldest child
Okay.
of Thomas B. Smith.
Okay, and Ron?
I'm Ron Edmondson. I'm the oldest son of Susie Smith Edmondson. My grandfather was Tom Smith, who was Van Buren Smith's son. So we are the 4th generation after Van Buren Smith.
Okay, and Uncle Trav, why don't you kind of tell how all this has occurred today? Kind of leading up to what's happened today for us being together. Can you kind of recite that little story of talking to how this has come about and Ron's mother calling you and so forth and so on?
Well, a lot of disappointments. I've spent years trying to. Mainly, I found more than I thought I was going to find. I mainly wanted to find the graves of where my great-grandfather was buried, Van Buren, and it took me years to do that. We finally found that out, and then I wanted to get a picture of him, and I went for a long, long time trying it, and nobody seemed to know anything about it. So somebody had to die, I reckon. They had a funeral over in Calvin. I think it's Willie Ward's daughter. And they all met up at this funeral, and Johnny Ward's wife gave my phone number to Susie, and that put the ball to rolling, and she's been rolling it ever since. I found out a lot of things. You get my picture too of my great-grandfather.
Well, great. And what we're going to do today is shoot some pictures, old pictures, and we're going to talk about them, and then we're going to go visit Van Buren and Sarah Jane's grave, right? Okay, I guess I would be a great-great-grandson of Van Buren and Sarah Jane. My mother was Dorothy Smith, who was the daughter of Thomas B. Smith, and of course you've heard where Thomas B. fits into all this. And we're up here videotaping it. I'm from Florida, and it's just really great to have all these wonderful people and relatives of mine that I've never met and didn't even know I had. So this is really a history-making day for me, and we're recording this for history, and hopefully great-great-grandchildren from 100 years from now will be able to look back on this and say, well, I'll be darned, look who that was.
Can she stand next to that and point with a pencil to this, and we
Well,
pick that up on the
Yeah,
camera?
can do that. I was
like
going to
that?
try to. I was going to try to do this maybe
you gonna do it? Okay.
and kind of point to it. If she can kind of show me with her finger up there on the screen, then I'll point
I
to
see how you're
this.
gonna do it. I got you.
See what I'm going to do?
Yeah.
So, Henrietta, you're on. You tell us, this is first of all, this is a group picture. It looks like a reunion.
I can't see them well enough to tell who they are.
Are you recording on that?
Yes, sir, we're recording it.
His picture was showing
This is
there
one of
now.
Uncle John's girls right
Yeah,
there.
my, okay, which one right there?
Mhm.
Who is this?
Uncle John's girl.
Uncle John's girl.
Married a Harper.
Okay, let's identify Uncle John first. This is Uncle John here.
Yeah, that's Uncle John with 18.
Okay, and that is his children on here.
Yeah, there's some of them here somewhere. but
Okay,
I
now
don't see.
one of them, show me again, was one of his daughters.
Right there is Aunt Fanny's oldest boy, Hightower. What was his name?
You're back to Uncle John,
Uncle John.
family.
Yeah, I want to know where his daughters and sons are. Uncle John's.
Uncle John,
Didn't you show me one here a minute ago?
oh, it'd be on this picture.
That's one Uncle.
Where's one of his?
That's Bonnie Smith right there.
That's Bonnie Smith?
Bonnie Smith.
Wow.
And this is one. That's one of the girls. I forgot what Uncle John's girls.
You don't know which one that was? You don't remember what her name was, huh?
Oh, I can't remember right now.
That's me down there with that boy ribbon.
What
Where-
you ask?
This is
Right there, where you-
right here.
No, not the little
That's Susie, right?
one. The one with the
Next
boy
one.
Oh,
ribbon.
right there? That's Susie, right there. And Susie's with us. Susie, tell us about how old you were there.
I would imagine I was about,
About,
About a year and a half year old.
yeah, right, so that's Jim down there on the end.
I was about
Where's Jim?
7.
You got to
That's
pull it.
what-
Right
that's
here?
Around
You got to push it.
1912 or
Yeah.
13.
That's down there on the end of Jim.
Which one now? This one?
That's Tom Miles.
I want to. Where's Jim?
That young boy right on the end.
That one right there? And Jim is with us today, right?
Yeah.
Jim, I guess are you older than,
Yes, I'm 3 years older than
can you remember the day this was made?
I remember that reunion.
You do?
I couldn't tell you the year. Somewhere around 13, 14, 19.
See this?
1913 or
I used to
19?
be
That guy
about
right there?
7 years old, and that would be about 7 or 8, and that would be in 1912.
Can you recognize them in this and then go
Okay,
back?
you pointed to someone.
That's one of my other brothers that with a cap on right there.
What was his name?
Bill.
And is he alive?
No.
It's William Thomas Smith.
William Thomas Smith, right there. Okay. I'm going to be sending you guys a copy of this tape, so you know. Okay, is there anybody else on this? Now, Susie, didn't you tell me your mom and dad was on here?
Yeah, that.
Show,
No, show them up there on the screen.
Pull them out on the screen.
Right there.
That's it. That's my grandma.
There and that.
That's your father, and that's your mother. And what was his name?
Thomas Newton Smith.
Thomas Newton.
Thomas Newton Smith. And your mother's name was
Susan Temperance
Susan
Jackson
Temple.
Smith.
She was a Jackson. So Thomas, I wonder if my grandfather must have been named after him, huh?
Probably was.
Yeah. See, that would have been his uncle. So he must have been named after him.
Probably was.
My grandfather.
That's right.
Because his name's Thomas. Okay, and we can see, looks like an old smokehouse or something back here in the background.
What?
Go ahead.
Can we point out the other
That's a wagon.
members of the family?
You remember what
The
it,
sisters of
I know.
Tom and John.
You
If you'll help me get them over there and tell me.
Son.
That's Aunt Laura.
so,
She's doing
That's
it right now.
Laura. That's Newman.
well, I want to ask
She
Jim
had.
something.
Y'all must have to point it on the TV.
Point this out on the TV, Henrietta, what you're just seeing on that picture there. Can you point it out here?
Move that TV over closer to it, or a little bit.
Jim, do you know whether Jack's on that picture or not? Is Jack on that
That's
picture?
Aunt Laura.
All right.
Wait a minute. Okay, now wait a minute.
Here we go.
This is Aunt Laura. Now who is she?
Aunt Laura Denny.
Is she a sister to somebody here?
She's sister, yeah.
To who?
This is my mother and daddy right here.
This is your mother. I mean your father,
Yeah.
and your.
My mother.
She's Aunt
Okay.
Roxy.
This is Aunt Roxy here.
Bob and Aunt Roxy. Yeah.
Okay, what was his name?
This is my sister, Cole Robinson. This is her husband, Melvin Robinson.
Melvin.
Melvin.
Uh huh.
who did Aunt Roxy marry?
These is those girls. It's me right there. And
That's-
Williams.
That's Eunice Yates.
Okay, all right, slow down on me. Now this is you?
Yeah, that's me right there.
Okay, and then who is this?
That's Eunice Yates.
That's Aunt Ella's daughter.
Now this is my Uncle Tom's boys. Jim, I believe. I mean Uncle John's boys.
Oh, you think that's Jim Smith? So that would be my grandfather's brother, right?
Well, it's one of them. I just, where's Jim?
Well,
Well, it's not be one, but two Jim.
it'd be a you on there. Are you on there?
Yeah.
This is Harvey Denny right here.
Harvey
Denny.
Denny.
There's about,
Denny?
about 10 of them, I think.
That's,
Let's back up to the older generation
My
here.
daddy owned it.
Go through Henrietta and point out your,
well, that's St. Laura. And I guess her husband's sitting back here.
and she is the
No,
sister
yeah, that's
of,
St. Ella.
It's Aunt Ella Yates.
St. Ella Yates.
And she's got a grandson that lives in Sonora.
Let's see, who is that? Oh, that's one St. Ella's daughters, Gina Bonner.
What's her name?
Gina, G-E-N-A.
Gina Barnes?
Gina Bonner.
Bonner?
And that's her husband.
Bonner.
Smith,
B-O-N-N-E-R, Bonner.
B-O-N-N-E-R, Bonner.
Okay, and
That's
what,
She married a, who was she married? Rathbone? Who's Gina married?
Who's that? Gina?
She married a,
You lost me
that's
that which?
That's Jim Smith.
no, that's my grandfather there. That's Thomas B. Smith.
That'd be.
That's Daddy B. Tom, and this is his wife, Cleo Smith.
Your grandmother, granddaddy.
That's Cleo Smith right there. She was a Wessinger.
That's Cleo.
And that's her husband, Thomas B.
Your grandmother was a Wessinger.
I wonder who that is. I had a brother, he was down here somewhere. But
All right, let's move on over here a little bit. A minute.
Now there's one of the family.
This is a high tower.
Where? That's a high tower there?
Yeah, these two, this is man and wife there.
Got away over
Let's see,
there.
John Hightower,
It was
this
young.
is John,
Well, Aunt Betty married a Hightower, didn't she? Didn't Aunt Betty marry a Hightower?
yeah,
Is that her son?
yeah, that's her son.
Okay, tell me again who these people are. Who is this?
That's, she was,
But Aunt Betty ain't in that picture because she wasn't there that day.
that's Uncle Joe Yates and his wife.
Where?
That's Uncle Joe Yates.
Uncle Joe Yates.
Yeah, and his wife's right there somewhere.
Ella. Her name
This
is
is,
Ella.
this is a son-in-law there, that's Walter Bonner and Gina Bonner.
Gina
That's Uncle Joe and, Gina was Aunt Laura's girl.
That was Gina again.
That's Gina Bonner. This is Aunt Ella Yates.
Okay. What about some of these people? This gentleman up in here.
That's Charlie Barker right there.
Charlie. Now, what relation would he have been?
He's a cousin, second cousin.
Okay.
Now,
Any of these people?
His mother was back here, and he was back here somewhere.
This is the edge of the picture. What about this gentleman standing up here and it looks like he's got a cowboy hat on or something? Do you recognize him?
Let me look at this, let's see.
Did you make that from that picture?
Mm-hmm. Had it blown up.
Boxer was your grandmother.
That's all blurred in there, you can't hardly see.
Don't recognize him.
It was Charlie Barker and Irving Yates.
You can see on this photograph,
And,
you can see this right here. Looks like a front end of a buggy.
Buggy. It's some shafts of a buggy, I think.
Uh-huh.
I wonder who that little boy is sitting squatted down there. With his
See
knees
here, it
up,
looks like a
his
buggy front end. What do you call those on a buggy? Shafts? Okay, shafts. VR says they're called shafts.
that's me right there.
I wonder what's not on this one.
It just cut off. See that?
It's trimmed down.
There was one of the brothers and sisters. Aunt Betty was not there. Was not present that day.
There's very few people of these living now. But we've got 3 of them with us today, I guess.
Jim's daughter, you know, lives in.
Somebody tell me, okay, there's one person we haven't talked about here, and this, who is
That's
this
Grandma.
right? That's Grandma, right? Sarah Jane. Tell me what you remember about her. You remember anything about her? Was she kind? She a good cook? Did she visit a lot? Did you visit with her?
Yes, I remember her.
I thought she was very kind
She
of
was a big, heavy-set woman.
She was very
Said what
quiet.
kind of woman?
Unassuming.
Yes, she is right here.
Did you ever hear her raise her voice that you can ever recall?
That's Uncle John
Don't
made
recall
it.
it, yeah.
And that's their dog.
Where do you think this photograph was made?
Right there.
At the home place.
Whose home place?
That's one of the
Smith.
little barns, children. That's
Okay, would that have been Ellen's, Ellen and, Sarah and Van Buren's
This
home place?
This taken at the home place, at Grandpa's home place.
So this is Van Buren and Sarah Jane's home place here.
This place
What,
belongs to
what
their home
county and
place.
city was that?
This is their Van Buren
Helps us community up, you go up 100.
and Sarah Jane's home place.
Uh-huh.
That's
Off
my
of
You
100.
know that area.
No, I'm not familiar with it.
It's northwest part of Hurd County.
Is it
Northwest
past Franklin?
part of Hurd County, off of 100.
14 miles up.
It is. Do you know where the property is?
Yeah, I own it.
Oh, you own it now. So VR still owns this property. Is it possible for me to walk on that holy ground?
No.
To put my feet on it and say, well, this is where my great-great-grandfather... Okay, we're going to have to move on with pictures here. Otherwise, we're going to...
From where we going to the cemetery.
If you go up 100,
Slide these little ones in there now, instead of,
Is this hers?
that, well, wait a minute, instead of backing off, let's go to something else that's small, like that.
That's all of them except one of them is not present.
Okay,
Uncle John, Uncle Tom.
well, okay, now wait a minute. You got to slow down with me and bear with me a minute here.
That's
Okay.
Aunt Ella Yates.
This is who?
Ain't yellow, ain't
Aunt Ella Yates.
Okay. This is
That's Aunt Fanny Hightower.
Aunt Fanny Hightower,
Uncle John Smith.
Uncle John Smith,
And Uncle Tom Smith.
Uncle Tom Smith.
That's my mother, Roxy Williams.
That's your mom, Roxy Williams,
And Aunt Laura Denny.
and Aunt Laura Denny. And
Aunt Betty was not there. She was the high tower too, wasn't she?
and this is
That's Grandmother Smith.
now. These are the children?
The children.
Yeah, these are.
All
These
except
are
one.
all the children except one,
Yeah,
of-
Aunt Betty wasn't on there. That's
of,
Grandmother Smith.
Grandmother Smith.
And Uncle John and Aunt Fanny were twins.
Okay, now say that again.
This one, ain't this right? This one and this one, the twins.
Yeah, they was twins.
This one and this one are twins.
Yeah.
This
Uncle
one and this
John
one.
Aunt Fanny was twins. They didn't favor a bit in the world.
No, they
She
didn't.
married a high tower.
Uncle John and Aunt
She
Fanny.
married a high
Who was the
tower.
oldest?
They were the oldest.
Who was the oldest?
They were.
John and
They was the oldest children, Uncle John. They,
do you know? Okay, who was the next oldest? Do you remember?
Aunt Ella, I believe, Aunt Ella Yates.
She was the next one,
I believe so.
You can see better.
and then
That's all right.
Yeah, Uncle Tom was next to the
You know-
baby, wasn't he?
Uncle Tom looks like a modern man to me.
Yeah,
He looks like a modern man.
My
He
daddy was
was
a
kind of
baby.
good looking.
he
Huh?
is good looking.
I
He
thought
is good
Thomas
looking.
was the youngest.
He is.
Thomas was
He said
young.
Tom was a baby. I forgot which was baby.
And again, this was made at the Van Buren and Sarah
Home place.
home place.
That's where there's all born.
I thought that was a log cabin, but it's not a log cabin, was
It
it?
was log.
It was a log
They
cabin?
boarded up over it, yeah,
And the house is gone now, right?
it's gone.
The house. Is there anything left structurally of the place?
One or two big oak trees.
Might
What?
be-
One or two
What about
big
the
oak
logs?
trees.
Were they all rotted?
My
See,
son
I
owns that
bought
place
that
now.
place from my grandmother.
Now, the husband bought it, and he tore down the house. He said they were house long time ago.
So it's been in the family a long, long time, hasn't it?
It
Oh,
was,
Lord, yes.
I mean, it's
Well, does anybody,
continually been in the family.
Have you ever figured up how long?
No, but I'm gonna look it up in the records
what
over
did,
the courthouse in Franklin next time I go
Uh-huh.
that
did
way.
his father own the house too? Did Grandpa's father own the house?
I don't know, that's what I wanna look up. Yeah, Hurd County, I done some research for another family, my wife's family. And I went back on some old deeds there until 1998, I believe. And everything before then was burned.
It was.
That's Virgil, my brother.
Okay, all right. Hold on a minute, Henrietta.
That right there.
Okay, do it again for me now. Okay, Henrietta, do it again for me. Tell me who we got here. Point out to me who we have.
This grandmother Smith.
Grandmother Sarah Jane. Okay, that's a good picture. Who is this?
That's my oldest sister, Sonobra. Sonobra.
That's your oldest sister?
Yes, Sonobra Williams.
Uh-huh.
And this is my mother, Roxy Williams.
Roxy.
And this is Cora Williams.
Now, who is she?
Your sister.
She's my sister, too.
Your sister also.
And
Okay.
this is my daddy, Robert Williams. Robert E. Lee was his name.
Robert E. Lee?
Uh-huh.
We know where he was. Oh, yeah,
And that's
great.
my brother, that's all the brother, Virgil Williams.
I remember him on Virgil Williams.
That's all.
So where are you? Oh,
Yes,
there you are.
that's
Yeah, that's me right
There's, she's the little girl in here. And look, they're all dressed up. Look at that little suit on her brother. All handmade, right? All of this was handmade.
Yeah, that's grandmother Smith. That's just like her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great picture.
You remember her?
Well, she visited us.
Look at those clothes and the bows in the hair. Look how the hair's all tied up in the top there.
See, I had that picture and I didn't even know who anybody was except Grandma.
Oh, this is a day of discovery. And think somebody 100 years from now will probably look at this again and they'll just shake their heads, I'm sure.
Well,
What a photograph. That's a great photograph. Hi, Joe,
now that's me.
Henrietta.
Well, who that is, that
Yep.
must not be Alice.
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
Is that your mother?
That's
Okay.
Grandma.
This is Sarah Jane again. I'm amazed at the photographs we're finding here. And who is this?
Susie.
She said it's her.
Susie.
That's Susie, and
Smith
Susie's with us
Edmondson.
today.
Susie Smith Edmondson.
Okay, good. And it looks like she's got something in her
You
hand
know
there.
what that is?
What
That's
is it?
It's a little umbrella and the little knob that come off the end of it.
Uh-huh.
It's like just a stick, but it's a little umbrella. You can't see the umbrella, but it had a knob on the end of it, and the knob had come off.
Tell them the story about how the photograph came to be made.
That's a person,
What?
I bet.
Tell them the story about it.
Well, they were taking school pictures at the schoolhouse up there at Miller's Academy where we live, and I guess that picture must be
Where was the school at? Susie?
Miller's Academy in Carroll County.
In Carroll County. Where's that in your? Carrollton?
No, it's
8
close to
miles
Bremen.
north of Carroll.
8 miles north of Carrollton. Okay, good.
And the photographer was there taking the school picture.
Uh-huh.
Grandma was visiting us. And I wasn't old enough to get in the picture, school picture. They wouldn't let me get in the school picture. So the photographer said, just take a picture with your grandmama. And that's what that happened. Well, at the schoolhouse, but I wasn't in the school picture. And anyway, I've got that school picture somewhere here.
Yeah, that's what everybody goes.
You don't really look happy that day. I don't.
No, it's not in here.
I think your grandma had gotten on to you. Sit still for this photograph.
It's them little black eyes everybody said I had.
Okay, give me another one, huh?
All
right.
My mother and daddy.
Okay, and who is this?
Thomas Newton Smith.
Thomas Newton Smith. And
Susan Temperance Jackson Smith.
she was a
I
Jack.
mean Jackson's.
And this was my grandfather's uncle, right? This is my grandfather's uncle. Your father and mother.
Yeah. Brother
My
to-
grandfather's
brother to your-
uncle.
to your-
So he knew them very well, just like I know my uncles and aunts today. He knew them very well, didn't he? Well, he's very distinguished looking, isn't he? What was he? Was he a farmer or a businessman? Or?
He was only 59 years old when he died.
Oh, is that right?
He had typhoid fever when I was born. He and my oldest brother had typhoid fever, and I was born at the time. And he never was a real well man. He died when he was 59 years old.
Look at that dress she's got on. Would you say she had a corset on?
I bet she did.
Wow. Look at that dress, though. Is that not a fancy dress?
That was a wedding dress, I guess.
You think this is not a wedding picture, is it?
I imagine it is.
Think it is? Now, where are they buried?
Mama and Daddy.
Uh-huh.
Down at Elam Church in Cayuga County.
Elam Church in Cowdy County. Okay. All right, what have we got here now?
This is a little something interesting.
Okay. What is,
Signatures here.
okay. VR, you probably gonna have to tell us what this is. What do we have here now?
This is a deed. This deed was written, I'll tell you in just a minute. First day of August 1919. It was made from.
He might want to shoot the original. He's got the original here.
I got the original
Would you
here.
rather
You
have
did?
that?
Ronnie,
Well, I don't know which one will show up better. Well, if that's original, let's try to shoot that. And you talk.
That belongs to someone.
Okay, and this was written August 1919. And that's when your grandmother, right? Is that your grandmother, Sarah?
This is my grandmother, Roxy Williams. I understand it that my great grandmother lived with them through the years, and all the brothers and sisters signed this deed over to her for keeping.
She always took care of her.
For keeping my great grandmother, and so this is. And when I bought the place several years later, I picked up that deed and I just put it in my safe deposit box to keep it.
Ronnie,
Well, is there any acreage involved?
This deed called for 75 acres. They sold off 35 acres, and I got 40 acres of the original where the old home house was.
And do you still have 40 acres?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great. I am so proud that it stayed in the family. How about the signatures? Who all signatures do we have here?
All the brothers and sisters.
Can somebody help me make these out? But this one here is who? Who is this? That's a Smith, right?
I think.
Uncle John, ain't it?
Is that
Looks
John
like
Smith?
J.C.
Yeah.
Smith, S.S.
John
J.M.
J.M.
Emma.
J.M. So that's my grandfather. Let's say great-grandfather, right? J.M. Right. Uh-huh.
Here on the back.
Okay. Now this is who?
Betty Barr.
Betty Barr, and she was a daughter
She was a sister to the.
She was a sister.
to.
She was one
That
of
was her
the.
second husband. She had been married to Hightower before she married to Barr.
Uh-huh. But now these are children of Sarah. Is that correct?
Sarah.
Sarah and Van Buren's children.
Okay. These are the signatures of her children. Okay, and this is
That's my daddy.
T.M.
T.N.
Thomas
T.N. Thomas Newton Smith. Okay, and this one is looks like a Hightower.
Tammy?
Fanny.
Notice,
Fanny Hightower.
there's something
Fanny
interesting
Hightower.
about that when you notice it.
Something here, right there. Initial on it?
Evidently, she couldn't write. It's her mark.
Her mark.
You see
Oh,
that cross?
oh,
in
right
between?
there. Her mark. See
Yeah,
that right there? Her mark.
Somebody else wrote that.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Which one was that? Fanny? Ain't Fanny?
Her mark. It's even spelled out there. Her mark.
That ain't Ella.
Ain't Ella, that ain't Ella, yeah.
Ella Yates, and there is her mark, right? See that X there?
Evidently, when they came along, there wasn't a school open.
This is Laura.
And then a Laura Denny, right? Laura
1,
Denny.
2, 3, 4, 5. That shows 6. Are there any others?
Is-
Were
what
there
is-
just 6 of them?
McClendon looks like witnessed it or something.
He was.
And
I
then
believe
Jay-
he was.
Davies.
London was
D-A-V-I-Z.
clerk of court.
Yeah, you see this? I think that probably says notary of public and justice, maybe, of the peace. Or, uh-huh. Well, that is very, very interesting.
And it's got.
Now, what's the
something
price
back.
on this? It said it was sold for how much? $450.
I mean,
Boy.
What all went with it?
75
Land?
acres.
And a
That
house.
was a good
below.
price.
Tract of land.
That was a good price.
That's the deed they did.
What does it say? It says certain tract of land lying and being 11th land district of original Carroll, but now Heard County, containing 75 acres or more or less of land. Something northeast
That's the
243.
land lot.
Land lot, okay, 243, bound as follows: on the east by land of Dozie Denny, on the south by land of Dozie Denny on the west, and by J. M. Denny Estate on north, by J. D. Hightower and South Hightower or something.
Sarah Hightower.
And Sarah Hightower. Well, isn't that interesting? That is great. And that's the original.
$450 would be a bargain today, wouldn't it?
Okay.
Sure, back then it was hard to
All
come
right,
by.
what about some more pictures here,
Wait,
guys?
yeah, does anyone have other
I see
pictures
how
of
much,
that scene?
$450 to 75 acres is how much an acre?
This,
That'd be about, well, let's say $500 an acre would
This
be
is- this
what?
is not
Let's see,
gonna be
$100
very
an
well,
acre would be $4,500.
And that's,
To give you a little difference in the price, I mean, I wouldn't sell it for $40,000.
I don't guess you would.
I know it.
Okay, now this is, who is this?
That's Van Buren.
Look on the screen.
That's Van Buren.
Okay, that's Van Buren.
Van Buren Smith.
Van Buren Smith, right. Husband of Sarah Jane Smith. Sarah Jane was a Dixon?
She was a
Nixon.
Nixon.
Nixon. She was a Nixon.
Which,
She was a Nixon.
this is the couple we just found the gravesite of, and we're going to go visit this afternoon.
That's great. And Ron's got a couple of negatives on this picture he's going to share with everybody at a future date. Okay, what about some other pictures, guys?
The only thing,
You don't hide your apple, and I hit it worse.
Okay, now who is this right here?
That's Jim.
That's
One is
Jim.
here.
Jim is here with us today.
This one dead.
And this one's died here. And what was his name?
Theo
Theo?
And
What was his
year?
middle name?
Atkinson.
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 He was a twin.
He's a twin
His
of...
twin died when he was born.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Okay, and he died when?
He died in 1918 when the flu epidemic. You know, we had such a big flu epidemic in 1918. He was 14 years old when he died.
14 years old. That's good. Okay. All right, and who is this? This is Susie, right?
That's
Susie,
me.
that's you.
That's me.
And tell me, okay, everybody has a what? What's this in his hand?
They
Apple?
gave out one of us an apple.
Apple?
And my mama said, honey, don't hide your apple. But honey, hit it
She
worse.
hit it anyway. Now, where do you think this was made?
This home place here.
That's where we lived.
Where you lived?
Where we lived.
Uh-huh. On an old stump there.
Down
Short,
in
see
Heard
the...
County, in Heard
I guess those were called knickers. Were those called knickers?
That's the place where I was born.
You were born
I
here.
guess Jim was born down there.
And where was that? You were born? What county?
Just across the county line over in Heard.
Just across the county line in
Caeta.
Heard County.
Just across the Caeta line.
And you were born again when? When were you born?
In 1908.
1908. 1908.
And Jim,
Is this house still standing?
no,
It's gone too. It burned?
up.
Okay. All right, another
There's the-
picture.
There's the birth dates of her family and all those.
It is? Here. Can you just take a page out? Okay, Ron, tell me. What
Okay, this is the family of Thomas Newton Smith and Susan Temperance Jackson Smith. The oldest was Buren Jackson, called Jack, who was born May 27, 1899, and I don't have his date of his death. It was what, 1988, December of 1988, I believe.
Okay.
And then William Thomas was second, who was called Bill. He was born November 21st, 1901, and died March 10th, 1953. Then came the twins, Frank Amos and Theo Atkinson, both born December 2nd, 1903. The youngest one, well, the first one died June 17th, 1904, less than a year old. And Theo died April 16th, 1918. And then next came James Van, who's with us today, born April 6, 1905. And next, my mother, Susan Temperance, born June 4th, 1908. And next, a girl, Sarah Elizabeth, born August 3rd, 1914, died May 10th, 1915. And then last, a unnamed baby boy born and died May 30th. What is it, Mother? 1911? I never could figure out that date. Look on TV there, you see.
I don't remember what year he was born.
Okay.
See, I was just wasn't too many years older than this one, than that girl that died.
Okay. Good. Give us some more pictures here.
Uncle Trav, you got any pictures to put on here?
You got some pictures?
Not lately.
Is that
I think somebody's always got that group picture of
Is
Yeah.
it
Uncle Smith
Yeah.
always. You want to put it on there?
What about this article you've had?
Let's get that on here and
Yeah, they don't have
You may
that. Oh,
have
is
the
that
wrong
a brass piece put on that?
I think it was. Originally it was polished brass.
Yeah.
Recognize.
And it's got
Somebody,
one on.
somebody told it be
Well,
nice
you
to
know,
paint
if
them.
we're leaving, I'll bring it back
Could
to
have
you.
been there.
I guess this whole thing
You
is
just
brass.
keep it, you won't.
Does that look like
Let some of your children have it, 'cause
Well,
all my children, they don't none of them remember.
They don't even know,
And
but,
I'm old, I won't be here much longer, so just keep it.
well,
If you
well, do you want me to
some
do the same thing to you? Have you got this picture?
Yes, I've got that somewhere.
Well,
I don't think I've got your son.
well,
Earlene's got it.
see, I didn't know who it was. I knew it was Grandma, but the rest of them I didn't.
Carrollton about twice a year and all that stuff.
John did. Uncle John was a bailiff in Carroll County.
Yeah, and in the Beale area.
That's on record, I read it.
Tyson, in that area someplace.
Uh-huh.
And Roofville or somewhere right in that vicinity there.
Talking about my grandfather.
Right, John. Uh-huh.
I've been with him on one of them. I was with him one day, went out and got a cabinet from a black man.
That's
black
what
man wasn't
Johnny,
gonna
you
give
know
it.
Johnny, that's your cousin, isn't it? Johnny Word.
Johnny, my wife.
I spent about a half a day with Johnny Word. His fellow Leo, Johnny's wife and a lady Leo, she are sisters. Her husband kept telling me, see, I went to school with Johnny Word back years ago before he became a doctor. You know, he went to medical school.
Uh-huh.
And
How do you spell W-O-R-D? Yeah.
And when he got cured of that, he just stayed there and doctored on those patients until he retired. I mean, he was cured of his problem. And they live at his wife's old home place in Bowden now, so I rolled over there one day and
He's my oldest son.
he is getting a little forgetful like some of us do sometimes. And he's hard of hearing, which I find it kind of runs in the Smith family, don't it? Like Mama. Susan, you ever got hard of hearing yet?
I think Jim's getting a little more so than I am.
People just don't talk as good as they used to.
I was down at Johnny's yesterday.
Well, let me tell you,
Not my,
Is that right?
Let me ask you a question here. How is Johnny Word related to the Smiths?
she's
His
my first
mother
cousin.
His mother was a Smith, right?
Yeah.
His
John
mother was
Smith's daughter.
John Smith's daughter.
John,
Right.
John,
What was her name?
listen, Johnny's mother was a Smith.
What was her name?
Willie,
Willie.
you heard
Willie.
Lewis talk about Mama Willie. That's Lewis Goddard's grandmother.
Okay, Johnny Word's mother was Willie Smith.
Uh-huh.
And who did she marry?
And let's see, we've got
One word.
She married a
One word.
Word, you want married Word.
One word.
B-U-N?
I guess so, or B-U-double-N, I don't know which one.
Word.
Okay. And
That's Willie right
Willie
there.
Smith was who? How was she?
She was Uncle John's daughter.
That's right.
Will
She
Smith
was the last one that died.
grandmother of Grizzard. If that's
You heard
right.
of
Lewis Goddard's mother was Christine Word.
Have y'all ever met Lewis?
I
Ham?
have.
This is Willie right here on TV. That's Willie right
I
there.
went to his mother's funeral.
You did.
She died. Mhm.
Well, I got him to sign a book for you and
Yeah.
talk to him a little bit about
He bought one of his books for me and
the most wasted money I ever spent.
Lewis, he asked Lewis it was for his cousin, from your cousin to my cousin Susie. Edmondson, and he didn't more know then who Susie Edmondson was or nothing.
I may be all wrong.
This is Bonnie.
But Lewis figured out
I wonder who
that
that
he
is.
That's
knows
Bonnie?
enough of the truth to kind of
Uh-huh.
roll it up to make it sound real.
I wanted,
you know.
I want Henrietta. Didn't you tell me Henrietta Bonnie was on this other photograph?
Yeah.
Didn't one of you tell me that?
I don't read his books.
Didn't you tell me Bonnie was on this photograph here? Do you remember which one it was?
Really made him sound good.
Picking up all this conversation.
She's right along here somewhere. That's her family. That's the. You can't see it very well.
Here,
Yeah, Bonnie's on there.
let me get it up here close. I want you to point that out to me again.
Wait.
Yeah, Traff had been reading Lewis's pieces, and he didn't even know,
That's like
know who he
Bonnie.
was.
Right there. That's one girl. I believe that's Bonnie right there.
Okay, point that out to me.
Yeah, that's
Point that.
Bonnie.
But
She's the youngest one.
Right there's Bonnie.
Well, she was the youngest
when
one
he
to
gets
John.
started on all
When
of
she was the
his
youngest one to
wives,
John's show.
Yeah.
She was the
What,
youngest.
what was her name?
Bonnie.
He's on
Spelled
Ted
how?
Turner, right?
B-O-N-N-I-E, I think. Anyway,
That's one.
everybody always told me that she and I looked just alike.
And she was the youngest of Uncle John's daughters?
Yeah,
Lewis don't care.
And here's Uncle John. They
Give her
did
up
it.
who he thought.
Yeah. Okay, let me get this other photograph up here. Here's that family. Here's a Uncle. This is Uncle Traff's picture here, I think.
You can have that.
Let me get it focused here. Okay, now this is.
That's Uncle John right there.
Anybody else wants one,
And I don't know who
you get one of these.
Okay, Uncle Traff,
Did you get one
why don't you
wrong?
come over here a minute?
That old deed.
Jack, can we go through a list of Uncle John's children? I don't have a long
Yeah,
list.
we got a picture here now. We're going to do that. I'll get Uncle Traff to identify them for us.
Yeah,
Okay.
that one of the
Well,
Did-
that's
written
gonna,
on that place.
that's gonna be, the names of them on.
Okay, do you remember them?
I remember some of them.
Okay, well, let's see what we can go through. Uncle Traff's going to, this is a picture of John and Ellen Smith at their old home place, and this is their family. This is John and Ellen Smith. So, Uncle Traff's going to help me identify them. Uncle Traff, who is this? Let's start off with, this is John,
That's John,
and this is Ellen.
that's
What
right.
was Ellen's maiden name?
But I don't see any Ellen.
Row,
What? Roe?
Row.
R-O-W-E?
R-O-W, I believe is what it was. Or it could have been an E, you can spell it either way. But she was a Row.
And this is John.
That's John.
This is one of the sons of Van Buren and Sarah Jane. Okay, now these are his children.
That's
Okay,
right.
this is
That's Bonnie. That's his youngest child. That's his baby.
okay. And I understand she was very attractive. Everybody tells me that she was a very pretty
Well,
woman.
everybody said I looked just like her, so I
Well, you are a
did
very
too.
pretty woman.
You do favor her.
Okay, and
That's my father, Thomas B. Smith.
Was he the oldest?
No, he was next to the youngest. Lee was younger than he was, which Lee's not on there because he died early.
okay.
And that's
Sarah Jane.
Jackson, I believe. I can't.
That's the woman there, ain't it?
Let's see. All right, I'm gonna flip this over a minute.
Must be Bee's wife.
no
Staying
way.
there
Well.
right by her.
Okay, that's Johnny.
Johnny Jackson.
Okay, that's Johnny. This is Johnny Jackson. She married a Jackson, right?
It's her son that's got that big automobile place in
What,
Atlanta.
how does she fit in oldest to youngest?
That's where they are. Ron.
They're
This
lined.
is the oldest to the youngest.
Wasn't
right there.
Lena the
All right,
youngest?
we're going from the youngest to the oldest.
Yeah.
Okay, there was Thomas, Bonnie, then Lee who died, then Thomas, then next comes
Johnny.
I think
Johnny?
it's Bee's
Uh-huh.
How does she spell her name?
Johnie, I think.
Okay,
Okay.
Now that's
Where's Lena?
Lena Mosley right there.
that's Lena right there.
That's Lena Mosley.
What was her name? Just Lena? Did she have a?
As far as I know, this Lena.
And she married a Mosley?
She married a Mosley.
M-O-S-E-L-Y.
Yeah. Mosley.
M-O-S-L-E-Y.
That's Johnny's mother. That's Willie Word.
I got that.
Where's that?
And
That's
she's
Willie.
the next oldest.
Yeah, that's right.
Ron, where's that picture of our family, my family?
Okay,
Now that's,
She married a Word.
no, she married
Yeah.
a Word.
Uh-huh.
One Word.
Married
Willie.
Von Word.
Willie.
Now that's Florence Harper. She married a fellow named Will Harper.
Well, I thought Ellen lived with the Harpers or something at one time.
My grandfather lived with her till he died.
Okay, he lived with
She
her.
lived with Florence, didn't she?
Yeah, he lived with Florence. Yeah,
And she was a Harper.
she was a Harper.
Florence Harper. Okay.
Excuse, there's some
Okay.
Harpers in the Glenlock area of Hurd County that's related to John Smith. This is Tom Smith you're talking about here.
No, we're talking about John Smith now.
Okay, they some still in that area. They are Terry Harper runs the insurance agency over in Franklin.
Okay, one of his daughters married a Harper. Who was it, Uncle Trav? Married what Harper?
Florence, she said, married Will Harper.
Florence.
Married a Will Harper.
Well, married
So that
Will.
must be part of that Harper
They-
clan.
They had a bunch of children, and they everywhere could. And that's Jim.
Or is that next? Is he next after Florence?
He's next after Florence.
I had another one I'd
Was
give
he-
that to
was
you,
he
but that's the only
James?
one I got.
His name was James. That's what his name was, but they always called him Jim.
Did he have a middle name?
Not that I know of. I'm sure he did.
Florence's son lives in Union. He's in a nursing home now.
Yeah, Dalton.
Dalton.
Yeah.
He's in a nursing home.
Yeah, I know that.
Which one?
Okay, and who is this here?
That's Lula. That's the oldest
Dalton
child
Harper. He's been
grandfather.
living in
Lula.
Union for years.
Who is that? L-U-L-A?
Yeah.
Dalton
No, it's
Harper.
L-U...
Lived out there on the
L-U-L-A.
west road.
Oh, it is L-U-L-A? I thought it was L-U-L-U, but it's L-U-L-A then.
And who did she marry?
She married a Beck. I don't know the first name of the gentleman, but she was a Beck.
Now, I don't know their middle names either, but I think Nina Word told me they all have a name that it's like Thomas B., Jimmy Lee, Lula.
Lula married the Beck.
They all, the middle name all has the same rhyme. I've heard that and I can't recall it. But Nina Word knows that. It's Jimmy Lee, Tommy Lee, and Thomas B., that kind of thing. And they're all that way. They're all that
All
way.
right, now, Trav,
Kinda
who was your, Thomas B. was your
My father.
father?
Ronnie, see if that picture of us, my family, Jim, and all my family ain't in there on that table.
Okay, this is John and Ellen Smith here. Now I've got a big blow-up of not a blow-up, but they took heads of these people and put them on a portrait, so they had a big
Is that
head
sack
portrait
in
of them.
there? The sack is not. The sack is not in that sack though. I took that picture out and showed it to y'all when we first come. A picture of us lined up and me and my 4 brothers. Where is that picture?
Let's get this picture here up here while we got it, and get this one.
Yeah,
on.
that's all. That's all
Is
your
that-
children, isn't it?
Somebody's got it. We'll find it.
That's all your children.
Okay, name. Oops.
This is something to be name all these 9 children.
Well, I hate to keep jumping around.
That picture-
Okay, let's. Who is this here?
That's Ralph.
Now,
Is that VR?
Yeah.
That's you.
Whose family is this?
It's hers. All my 9 children.
Who is her?
Is your,
My grandchildren.
okay, this is
No, just your children.
No, my children. It's not
This
my
is okay. Let's get started with
this
this.
is Sarah. You spell your name with an H,
Yeah.
Sarah,
S-A-R-A-H.
S-A-R-A-H.
Sarah Henrietta.
And this is your husband, right? What was your husband's name?
Leo.
Neil Stevens.
Neil Stevens. Okay.
Where's your husband?
This video continues on 075-1.